Left side of your screen, returning Miracles. That would be Force of Fill. And on the right, we have Dreadnought. That would be Richard. So just some land drops to start the game.
Okay. No, I played this card. I should know better. This is why. Tell me what the card is.
So a Wasteland, a second mana, second land drop for Richard. Force of Fill cracking a fetch. Been a couple of weeks since we've seen Force of Fill on stream. Force of Fill was on tour with his show. Lorian revealed island cycled here, finding a basic island. X-Grave, thank you for the resub. 18 months. It's a big badge. What's up, X-Grave?
Give your turn.
I'll play that again.
For a...
I mean, I don't fully know what's going on, but I assume.
X-Grave very excited about the breakfast bird. There's a new breakfast bird.
I don't think I'm going to play this.
All right, so I did not read that part. See that? Dave, read the fucking card, right? Derek?
Me?
Read the card.
Yep. Yeah. You got Connor? Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and set trigger from the
So I played against Richard at this event, and I got laughably destroyed. I was on Vile Goblins, and the combination of Stifle, the Thrall, and whatever other, Force of Will, whatever, Dress Down, destroyed me. But those are the kind of cards that we're going to see in combination with Phyrexian Dreadnought to cheat a 12/12 into play. I couldn't get my ETB triggers. I tried to cycle a Gem Palm Incinerator at one point to kill a Thrall, and it got stifled. It was rough. I've been playing Vile Goblins lately to not much success, if I'm being honest. Force pitching Uro. Working on trying to get this counterbalance off the stack.
Jason wants to go up. 3 cards?
Yeah.
Firing off another Force of Will, pitching Deduce to counter the counters, and counterbalance will resolve. Mystic Sanctuary comes in tapped. Gizlo, thank you for the resub. 23 months. What's up, Gizlo? Force of Fill is back. Gizlo is back. Wow.
Go.
So Wasteland took out Mystic Sanctuary, and then Phil misses a land drop, so that's not going well.
Cards? 2.
Okay, Uro will resolve, revealing a Plains with counterbalance. Force of Fill, it looks like, is holding a Swords to Plowshares and a Jace the Mind Sculptor, so it needs this land.
After combat, once each fetch.
Force of Fill drinking 4 Loco?
Troll.
I think that was a 4 Loco.
I'll take the grief.
And it's a trigger.
Yeah. Thanks.
I go?
Yes.
Oh, you have
Voodoo says Miracles is a neat deck. It is. It is. Phil's been playing these control decks for a long time, dedicated to the art form, I would say. All right, Uro escaping, revealing Prismatic Ending on top of the deck. That'll be a color short of being able to remove Uro, but swords can remove it. So Uro's gone. Prismatic Ending could be good at removing Dreadnoughts, though.
You gain 3 and draw.
Oh, I do gain 3. Okay, that draw?
Good.
So Phil draws the Prismatic Ending and passes. Phil's hand, we know, is Prismatic Ending and Jace the Mind Sculptor. Land short for Jace at this point. Counterbalance hasn't caught anything yet, but the longer it sticks on the board, usually it catches something, right? Looks like Phil found a Tundra.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm wondering how that exactly.
Yeah, I talked to Force of Phil about Modern Horizons briefly, and Brain Surge was on the list of things to test. Alright, there's the Doorkeeper Thrall, revealing Terminus on top of the deck.
I never thought of that.
But I actually don't know.
So here's what I think it says.
Yeah, Phil also is looking at Tameo. Alright, Terminus on top of the library. It will be cast. It will resolve. Thrall will go to the bottom. After that Thrall beat the crap out of me in my match against Richard, I'm happy to see it get Terminus, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's just I want to know
This is, yeah.
Okay, another Doorkeeper Thrall. Phil thinking about responding before the counterbalance trigger resolves. Let's see what's on top. Force of Negation.
Michael? Was that an step, right?
That was in your my step, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Breaker?
Alright, the Thrall is in.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, this is a good question. It's a weird one.
Kind of much sugar?
Yeah.
Catch my
Yep. And your turn.
There's.
Okay, a Prismatic Ending revealed on top with counterbalance after the Brainstorm. The Ponder is countered.
Combat?
Yep.
1. Single?
Good.
Combat?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Your turn.
Miracle Trigger on the stack fetch.
Okay.
Okay, Entreat the Angels revealed here with a Miracle Trigger, and it's being cast to make 2 Angels.
I know all your cards will get X on my
I have a counterbalance trigger if you'd like to cut.
Force of Will on top. Looks like Entreat is countered by Daze.
Lamp turn. Got it.
Okay, so Flooded Strand shows that Force of Phil could put Entreat back on top of the library, or Terminus, with Mystic Sanctuary. There is a Wasteland, though, that taking out the Tundra in response to a fetch could shut off Mystic Sanctuary, so something to watch out for.
So yeah, so you're targeting.
Force of Phil is aware.
I'll attack you for 2 cards.
Yeah, you're getting cast. So you go to this.
Sorry, Wasteland, the flooded.
Wasteland Fudge.
Wasteland Flooded Strand.
Fetch.
I'm going to use it right away. Pretty much.
No, they're all going to be exiled the same way.
Stifling the fetch.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, now Dreadnought. It has no ETB ability, so 1 mana 12/12. We know Force of Phil has the Prismatic Ending.
I'll use the treasure and a red.
Take that, right?
Colorless, green, red, colorless for indirect.
So, backing up a turn here, the Wasteland could have been on Tundra, and if Phil tries to fetch, stifle the fetch was a possibility. Or just hold the Wasteland, hold the Stifle. You could also stifle the Mystic Sanctuary trigger. There's just a few other ways that could have been done that probably would have been a little bit better. All right, Doorkeeper Thralls are attacking, Ponder resolving.
When you
Eventually, Phil could find another fetch, though, and do Mystic Sanctuary stuff. Counterbalance revealed on top.
Brainstorm's good.
and I will say go. Before
But waste your fetch, then stifle the fetch ability. I think I'm in agreement with some of the chat that that was not probably the best. Now Phil has access to a Volk as well. These things come with experience, though. These tiny plays feel tiny in the context of a long game, which this looks like it will be. It already has been a long game. Players have many lands in play.
in response, I'm going to flash in.
But experienced players that play in big competitions will be a little bit more careful with those things. A little bit more precise, I should say. Andrew says some say the camera adds 10 mistakes. That's true. I mean, people have expressed to me many times in the past at this point that the camera makes them a little bit nervous. They like playing on camera because it feels like, you know, they're challenged in a new way or whatever, but it can make decisions that usually feel pretty insignificant feel that much more significant. Pressure gets to you, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, one of those two or take it.
Richard and Pizza, thank you for the resale with Prime. 18-month badge. Seems like Prime is easier now to use. Okay, maybe they fixed it. You can, of course, sub with Prime to our Twitch channel. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. Unlock everything, including our Discord server, which has Decklists in it. Wow.
Oh yeah, this enters the battlefield right here. Yeah.
I mean, even for me, when the first couple of times I played on camera for this channel, it's like, okay, like a few hundred people might watch this. It's like, you know, you feel a little self-conscious even when you're making like, you know, turn one ponder kind of plays, like just plays that feel so harmless, and nobody would ever be skeptical of those plays. They feel a little bit like, do I know what I'm doing? You know, there's a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, these guys come.
Trigger results?
Oh, yeah. Like no, you're
Maybe some kind of imposter syndrome stuff going on. Treat the angels revealed.
This goes to 3.
Do it for 4.
Yeah, it makes you hyper aware of your decisions. If you're not used to it, playing on camera will do that, I would say. At least for me, and at least for the players that have played on this channel that have expressed that to me. All right, so Daze is getting paid for. Brainstorm revealed on top by Counterbalance. Sure. Looks like Entreat is resolving, and we're making 5 angels. Well, four angels. One mana was for Daze.
And this has to be blocked with 3.
Might get a result.
just gonna attempt to dress down and step.
Who's also?
Okay, dress down on Phil's end step.
Okay.
So we'll stick around through Richard's turn. The Angels now have no abilities, but they're still 4/4s.
I will attack. I have to pull back for blocks. I will pass the turn to you.
Towards this? Good job.
What were you
I'm at 10.
Yeah.
Okay, swords on the attacking angel. 3 angels stay back on defense. 4/4 flying angels made by Entreat.
You got it. Ding, ding.
Phil using Yu-Gi-Oh cards still. I mean, feel free if you're watching this right now to fill out a ticket and submit it to the DCI for that. Phil continues to rack up fines and suspensions and whatnot. Phil was just suspended from Magic for 2 months for using Yu-Gi-Oh tokens, actually. Haven't seen Phil in a while. Suspension. Deduce revealed on top. Sorry for the glare. One of the angels is removed. The other one is getting through for 4 damage, it looks like. Maybe not.
Do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Create a copy of Orcish Bowmasters.
Okay. 2 swords fired off. So 3 swords have been used now on 3 different angel tokens. 1 angel token remains playing defense. Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Sacrifice a non-type creature or take 5.
It resolves. Okay. Then it resolves.
2. Yeah.
I don't know which app is on this phone on the table. Not familiar with that one.
Let me turn, go ahead.
I attack with.
I've been using an app called Mutility. Mutility. That one has worked okay.
Block. Okay, so when this gets dealt damage, these are in the graveyard. You take 5, putting you at 1 life. I take 5.
The Mariah Carey tokens do not lead to suspensions because they just are legal.
And I'll pass the turn.
I'm gonna. I'll say go.
So Jace the Mind Sculptor will continue to brainstorm for Force of Fill. Can hit just the top of the deck for counterbalance. 1/4/4 white angel token remains. Phil's going to brainstorm, then pass the turn. Here's another Doorkeeper Thrall, a 3rd. Have to be careful of Terminus here, I guess. All three on the board. All right, now address down.
I do like this. I love saying I have
Why? Because I threw in. Oh shit! I gotta reverse that.
I'm guessing it's not.
Okay, Ponder reveals Ponder. It's countered. Phil looks like he's working with quite a few different ways to disrupt here. Holding a Force of Negation and a Force of Will, it looks like. Cracking a fetch.
This one.
Maybe we're going to see Mystic Sanctuary Entreat on top.
But yeah, this is in a creature toolbox deck. It can work in a go wild strategy, but yeah, like ping.
End-step Brainstorm, reveal the Miracle. It will be cast after Brainstorm finishes resolving. A little bit of a forgotten thing sometimes. So, making 5 angel tokens. An attack with all 6 angel tokens.
That's hilarious.
All right, Phil is up a game against Stiflenaught. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Whatever. Moving on to game 2. Richard will be on the play.
No, I used to. I'm only running because I'm running down jump creatures.
Mystic Sanctuary tap for Force of Phil. Looks like Phil's holding a copy of Thwart, Force of Phil special. Phil might be the only player in all of Magic the Gathering that has cast the card Thwart in the past 5 years. Maybe even longer. Does anybody know anybody that has cast Thwart? I don't know. I think it's just Force of Phil. That's it. Pre-modern doesn't count. Lavinia Zorius Renegade. It's a good one. Deduce is draw a card, make a clue, investigate. So there's a clue. 2 mana.
Yeah, pay 2, sack a clue, draw a card. Yep.
Okay, casting a Dreadnought. Okay, stifling the Dreadnought ETB. So Richard has a Dreadnought. It's 14 power on the board now.
Affecting your upkeep, swords the Dreadnought.
Yeah, so you gotta watch out for that. I mean, you didn't have it at that point, so. Yeah, there's a lot of liabilities, so that's what I'm thinking about.
Brainstorm in response to swords on Dreadnought.
Okay.
My opening hand was like, dark Steve. So I was like, I got both. This is an opening hand. And then I hit like basically
Yeah, Audrey pointing out that the Lavinia was on the battlefield when the Deduce was cast, but the land was already in the graveyard. Something to watch out for. Good catch by Audrey. Sure, the YouTube commenters saw it. You saw it, right? YouTube commenters, yeah. They didn't see it. They missed it.
Play Verdant Catacombs.
Okay, Wasteland on another Tundra. Attacking for 14.
Nut.
All right. Wasteland and Dreadnought and all working there for Richard. Going to game 3, Phil will be on the play.
Yes. Troll. Okay. Upkeep. Yep.
It helps also with
Force of Phil going to start game 3 with a Ponder. Curious to see what kind of hand Richard kept here in game 3 on the draw. In sideboarding, you do some kind of a dance with days coming in and out potentially. Force of Phil will have 2 lands on the battlefield before Richard, obviously. So the turn 2 Dreadnought Stifle is a little bit different. Should be interesting. Okay, just fetching a Tundra and passing the turn, it looks like. Now Phil has cast Counterbalance, which could be pretty good.
It actually matters. This was an instant.
Good.
Okay, so floating a blue, Daze. Just talking about Daze a moment ago. Now, Tempo. Everybody knows what Tempo is, right? The land is back in hand. Richard has no lands on the battlefield, but Phil has 2 lands on the battlefield. Wow.
No, it is not.
ETB? Yep.
What's Tempo, chat?
Alright, you get the top 10. And so, okay, that
All right, so a brainstorm after the Daze using the mana floating, replays the Tundra. Now Phil fires off a Ponder. Phil would have loved to resolve that counterbalance, but it wasn't something Richard was going to allow. Ponder shuffle, so maybe Phil doesn't have another land drop. I didn't get to see what was in the hand.
The most expensive card here is the Surveil under.
Oh, all right, Phil. So Phil has lands, plays a Flooded Strand, passes the turn. I think I saw a Jace the Mind Sculptor and a Source of Plowshares in Phil's hand. MTG banning in the chat with a highlighted message. Phil is never wrong, and you can interpret that however you want. MTG banning's name is also Phil.
okay. Okay.
Some philosophical statements coming in. Ooh, Triumphant Catherine. Phil knows that card. Scott, thank you for the resub. 23 months for Scott. We'll see if Scott stays with us for 1 more month and earns the 2-year badge. Badge of honor. Badge of success. Shout out to Scott, our monthly gift sub leader. You can see that in the top left of your screen. Jace the Mind Sculptor on the stack. Wasteland is tapped, so can't do the Wasteland your fetch land Daze thing. Will Jace bounce Triumphant St. Catherine if it resolves? So force pitching force, it looks like. My mistake. That was a Murktide got pitched. So Phil fetches a Plains. Harry Houdini has gifted a sub. 115 now on the channel for Harry. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate that.
So this dies. That dies now.
Yeah, Murktide Regent.
Yeah.
Okay, a Swords on the Triumphant St. Catherine resolves. Fires that off in between, and then Force of Will is the Force of Will, and then Jace will resolve, and then Brainstorm. Moving super quickly here, but I think we covered it all.
I'm more just curious what's in the
What do I think about the card Eldritch Immunity? I don't have it in front of me. If you can get the text in the chat, I'll take a look at it. MTG bot unfortunately not working. Or post it in the Discord in the spoilers channel, and we'll look at it between matches. Jace the Mind Sculptor on the battlefield. No threats to it at the moment. No creatures on Richard's side. We know Richard can sneak 12/12s into play at any moment. Jace will Brainstorm.
So you can place it on mine if you
The finisher in game 1 for Phil was Entreat the Angels. Not sure if post Cyborg that plan changes. Maybe not. All right, here's Counterbalance again. This will be important to get resolved.
So you already brainstormed with him, right?
Brainstorm with Jace, yeah.
Jace has already been activated this turn, so Phil knows the top card of the deck. Brazen Borrower getting flashed in response to counterbalance. Gonna put Jace under threat, potentially.
Yeah, that's good.
So it looks like Brazen Borrower is in, but now Phil can fetch a Mystic Sanctuary, put swords on top, potentially. Question is, can Phil get it into hand to protect Jace?
This is trouble now.
Looks like Phil's holding a Mystic Sanctuary in hand. Okay, Phil had another Brainstorm. So we're likely going to see Brazen Borrower get hit. Brazen Borrower gone. Jace is safe. Counterbalance on the board. Phil will now Brainstorm. Looks like Force of Will and 3 lands were the hand. Phil can find another flooded another Mystic Sanctuary with Flooded Strand. Change the top of the deck potentially. Here's Uro.
Yes. I will discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. Let's hope so. Oh, yes. Okay. So you ping. Yes. So this didn't. Yeah. Before this.
Okay, casting Doorwing Thrall now. Doorwing Thrall. Wait, what? What is this card called again? Door Thrall. Let's see. Oh, Doorkeeper Thrall. For some reason I forgot. All right, Phyrexian Dreadnought will enter, potentially. Okay, Mystic Sanctuary will put something on top and counter Phyrexian Dreadnought, most likely.
So still the first thing is
Oh, it's kind of you're up.
So it gets kind of tricky to fight through the counterbalance lock, even without fetch lands and Mystic Sanctuary, but we'll see. We've seen it quite a bit on stream and probably in games that I've played against Force of Fill here and there. The fetch for Mystic Sanctuary to put a card on in graveyard back on top of the deck gets missed a lot and likely was missed here. Mystic Sanctuary puts swords on top of the deck, so another 1 on top and potentially a way to remove the Doorkeeper Thrall on the following turn. All 4 Mystic Sanctuaries are in play right now, so if Phil finds a thwart, he can return 3 of them to hand. Alright, so Doorkeeper Thrall hits Jace. Jace will now Brainstorm. Looks like another Pyroblast, another Jace. Bunch of counter magic. And a Swords to potentially remove this Doorkeeper Thrall. D2Wako, thank you for the resale with Prime. 11 months. Appreciate that.
In response, I'll Lightning Bolt 3.
Yeah, I don't get the ability.
Yeah, a bit awkward here. Uro trying to escape. Force of Negation revealed on top. Phil was prepared.
Oh. Yeah, okay, you got it. Go for it. I think.
All right, Richard laughing here at all of Phil's tricks. Uro countered. Phil intentionally put that 3 on top to prevent Uro. Swords on the Doorkeeper Thrall. Jace protected. Jace at 2 loyalty now. MTG Zanker, thank you for the sub with Prime. And Los Calabos, thank you for the sub with Prime. 11 months. Appreciate that.
This got
Okay, casting another Doorkeeper Thrall. Hard casting Force. It's countered. Pass the turn. Jace will brainstorm. Jace not ticking up yet. Still trying to craft the hand and maintain counterbalance luck as much as we can.
yeah, it's in play. Okay.
Prismatic Ending revealed with counterbalance. Carpet of Flowers was countered. Likely didn't even need the mana, but it's countered. Phil holding a lot of cards. Discards Power Blast.
I have 7 red and green.
Once Phil starts discarding to hand size, we start to reach the stage of the game where we might see Jay start ticking up. Phil's hand full of counter magic. Uro looks like trying to escape again. Did Phil set the top of the deck to 3? Let's see.
2. Trigger on the stack.
No, it's just getting swords with the trigger on the stack.
Yeah, this trigger's on the stack. So gain 6, then gain 3.
This is the only non-token creature I have.
Can I just... Please jump to brainstorm.
This is an enchantment creature.
Prismatic Ending on top of the deck counters the Brainstorm.
And then gain 3, draw card.
I didn't see it.
So Uro gone forever. Still got the trigger. Gain 3, draw a card. Now passing to Phil, who has Prismatic Ending now added to hand. And now we're going to Fate Seal.
No worries.
Jay starting to tick up. Loyalty now at 4. And Richard sees the future enough to scoop it up here. GG's. Force of Phil gets it. Well played.